Hello again, this is Attorney Mary Ann Hamisola Adriano, and if naa mo din hay copy sa BAR 2023 syllabus sa Remedial Law, makita ninyo nga naa na ta sa number 3 nga topic, and this is all about principle of judicial hierarchy. So when we hear the word hierarchy, unsa ma-imagine ninyo? Ma-imagine ninyo ang murag hagdanan no nga magsugod ka sa una tapos proceed to the higher level. So judicial hierarchy. So ang rule ani or ang principle of judicial hierarchy is that if the courts have concurrent jurisdiction over a subject matter, the case must be filed first before the lowest court possible. So timan iya akong gira din hini concurrent jurisdiction over a subject matter. Therefore, ang kanang dieng principle of judicial hierarchy mo apply ra ni siya kung naay concurrent jurisdiction over a subject matter. Kung ang courts naay concurrent jurisdiction, unsay pasabot sa concurrent jurisdiction? Dungan sila nga naay parehas sila nga naay jurisdiction over that subject matter. So for example, naay isa ka particular case nga pwede i-file sa regional trial court, pwede sad i-file sa Court of Appeals, pwede sad i-file sa Supreme Court. Silang tulo na ay jurisdiction over that same subject matter. So, pasabot ana nasa like concurrent jurisdiction. So, mura kag na choice no kay ingon man dito nga si RTC naa siya jurisdiction ani nga case. Si CA or si Court of Appeals naa siya jurisdiction ani nga case. Si Supreme Court naa sad siya jurisdiction ani nga case. Kung imong tan-awon, mura siya og na kay choice ali kas RTC, CA or SC kay naa man sila concurrent jurisdiction. But because of the principle of judicial hierarchy, dili ka pwede mamili, magbutikaw-butikaw no, kung asa imong mas feel nilang tulo. So under the principle of judicial hierarchy, if the courts have concurrent jurisdiction, dungan sila nga naay jurisdiction over that subject matter, the case must be filed first sa lowest court possible. So adto ka magsugod sa kinaubsan nga court. Okay, so this is the judicial hierarchy, no? At the bottom, you would see MTCs, no? Metropolitan Trial Courts, Municipal Trial Courts in cities, Municipal Trial Courts, Municipal Circuit Trial Courts, and in some places, we have Sharia Circuit Courts. So, mo na siya ang pinakaubos sa ato ang judicial hierarchy. And the next level niya, higher level niya, is si regional trial courts, or in the case of Sharia, we have Sharia district courts. And then one level higher pag yun, natay Court of Appeals, Sandigan Bayan, and Court of Tax Appeals. And then the highest sa ato ang judicial hierarchy is si Supreme Court. Okay. So follow ka ani nga hierarchy. Ingon dito kung kani siya nga subject matter mo fall siya sa jurisdiction sa daghan nga courts, several courts have concurrent jurisdiction over that subject matter, kailangan ka magsugod sa kinaubsan. Okay, sa kinaubsan. So kabaw na tanong, maka-picture out na ta kung unsay kinaubsan ani. Okay. So what is the rationale of this principle of judicial hierarchy? This is to avoid clogging the Supreme Court's docket. Kay kung ganahan kayo ta maglumba ta ditog file sa Supreme Court, mapuno na no busy na ang Supreme Court, mudaghan ang ihang docket. So mas maayo na lang nga sa Supreme Court instead nga imo siyang hansakan og daghan kaayo nga mga kaso didto, mas better nga ma-focus na lang sa Supreme Court sa mga cases nga exclusively within its jurisdiction, no? And this is also to avoid delay in the adjudication of cases. So para mas paspas mahuman ang imuhang case, mas maayo na lang nga moagi ka sa kinaubsan, no, nga level. Kung unsay na ay jurisdiction ana kinaubsan nga naay jurisdiction. Okay, kay for example, if ato ka mo file sa Supreme Court nga, pwede raman unta di ay mo file ka sa RTC, na ay kanang delay sa imuhang adjudication of cases kay pag file pa lang nimo daan mo larga na ka dito sa Manila no na what if na ka diri sa Visayas or Mindanao area, so madugay unya kay daghan sad ang docket sa Supreme Court, so makalendar imong case pila pa ka months after, so madugay jud mo. So that is why there is this principle of judicial hierarchy. Kay kung adtura ka, for example, na ka dinhi sa Cebu City, unya mo file lang ka dito sa regional trial court or sa municipal trial court in cities as the case may be. So mas duol ra nimo, unya mas paspas mahuman ang imuhang kaso. So that is the reason why, or the reason behind the principle of judicial hierarchy. So for example, let's have an example para mas masabtan. Let's say that um, we have this example no when it comes to petitions for habeas corpus. So under the law, RTC or the regional trial courts, Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court have concurrent jurisdiction over petitions for habeas corpus. So timani that the principle of judicial hierarchy is only applicable when there is concurrent jurisdiction, which is present in this case. So kani silang tulo daw, si RTC, si CA ug si Supreme Court, na sila jurisdiction over petitions for habeas corpus. So the question is, where will you file your petition for habeas corpus? If you are planning to file a petition for habeas corpus, asa mo file? Sa RTC, sa CA, or sa SC, nga parehas man silang tulo na ay jurisdiction. So adto ka sa RTC mo file, following the principle of judicial hierarchy, because the regional trial court is the lowest court possible in this case. So, are there exceptions to the rule? No nga, ang rule sa principle of judicial hierarchy, kailangan jud ka magsugod gyud sa kinaubsan. Kung naa sa concurrent jurisdiction, magsugod ka sa kinaubsan. But are there any exceptions? The answer will be yes, a big yes. So, kung may exceptions siya sa rule, that means pwede ka mag-shortcut. So, imbis nga, adto ka sa lowest court possible, kung mo fall ang imuhang case under the exceptions, no, pwede ka mo shortcut, dili na kakailangan mo agi sa lowest court possible. So, what are the exceptions to the rule? Unsa man nga mga instances nga makaingon ka nga pwede ka mo shortcut, pwede ka dili mo agi sa lowest court possible. So, we have this mnemonic, ako adin nga mnemonic. Kanus aka dili pwede, kanus aka pwede mo shortcut kung ni naay PIP si CIA. Kung ni PIP si CIA, okay. So P, the first P is patent nullities. When the challenged orders were patently null and void, kung klaro jud kayo on its face nga, ang kani siya nga order nga ganahan nimo i-contest is a nullity. Clear in its face. So pwede ka mo shortcut. Dili ka kailangan mo agi sa lowest possible court. The I, when there are special and important reasons clearly stated in the petition. So kung nakay special and compelling circumstances nga imong gisuwat dito sa imong petition nganong ni shortcut ka, naa kay mga special and important reasons. And then when it is dictated by public welfare, so this is now the P, public welfare and the advancement of public policy. So C, okay, there are genuine issues of constitutionality that must be addressed at the most immediate time. So na urgent kayo nga issue on constitutionality. So for example, na kay ganahan i-contest nga bag-o nga law. Ngayon kag, uy, unconstitutional man ni siya. Ni-violate man siya sa provisions sa ato ang constitution. Unya, urgent siya. It must be addressed at the most immediate time. So, pwede ka mo shortcut. Then I, it is demanded by broader interest of justice. So this one should also be pleaded or alleged in your petition. And then the last one is analogous, A, for analogous, exceptional, and compelling circumstances called for and justified the immediate and direct handing by the court. Court here meaning the Supreme Court. So kung naay mga, kung dili manggani siya ni fall sa numbers 1 to 5, ang gid ani niya nga mga circumstances. So analogous, exceptional, and compelling circumstances nga kailangan na jud diretso sa Supreme Court. Dili na kakailangan mo agi dito sa kinaubsan. Okay, so remember the mnemonics kaning PIP CIA. Okay, let's have an example. So in the case of United Claimants Association versus NEA, Now, here, the petitioners are former employees of NEA. Ang mga employees sa NEA, gipang-tang-tang. So, the former employees filed a petition for injunction to restrain and or prevent the implementation of NEA's termination pay plan. So, injunction gani, dili raman si Supreme Court ang naay jurisdiction ana, no, even RTC has a jurisdiction over petitions for injunction. Same goes with CA. So if you follow the principle of judicial hierarchy, dapat unta kaning petition iagi didto sa RTC, no? So mao gingon ni Nea nga, uy, sayop kay gidiretso man daw sa United Claimants, gidiretso man nila file dito sa Supreme Court. So niingon si Nea nga, please follow the principle of judicial hierarchy. Dapat magsugod tas kinaubsan adto sa regional trial court. Okay, na may concurrent jurisdiction si RTC, CA, and SC for petitions for injunction. But what did the Supreme Court say? So such reason exists. So ingon siya, ang katukunong one of the exceptions sa rule ni exist daw ani nga case because um, the case involves, as it does, the employment of the entire plantilla of NEA. So more than 700 employees were affected. They were effectively dismissed from employment in one swift stroke because of the implementation of this so-called termination pay plan. So daghan kaayo sila. So naatay compelling reason for this petition to be filed directly sa Supreme Court. So instead of filing the petition for injunction in the regional trial court, ni shortcut sila padung na dito sa Supreme Court. So it is allowed. Okay, it is allowed because it falls under the exception to the rule nga kailangan moagi jud sa kinaubsan. Okay. So before we end this discussion, naapod ko gi-capture another bar exam question from the 2011 bar. So which of the following is not true regarding the doctrine of judicial hierarchy? So asa man ani ang dili tinuod when we speak of the doctrine or the principle of judicial hierarchy? So A, it derives from a specific and mandatory provision of substantive law. B, the Supreme Court may disregard the doctrine in cases of national interest and matters of serious implications. C, a higher court will not entertain direct recourse to it if redress can be obtained in the appropriate courts. D, the reason for it is the need for higher courts to devote more time to matters within their exclusive jurisdiction. So asa man ani ang dili tinuod when it comes to the doctrine or the principle of judicial hierarchy. So the answer will be A. So this is false. This statement is false. There is no particular law or substantive law that lays down this particular doctrine. So wala na siya. Okay? So that ends our discussion on the principle of judicial hierarchy. Thank you once again for listening.